So I got my name on pretty much a card ride back from IML. That's International Mr. Leather in Chicago. I was with Sister Nadia, and I said, I just want to be Bubbles. And, like, that just sounds like a fun name. You know, like Sister Sparkles. So I just want to be Bubbles. And he goes, I think there already is a Bubble. I'm like, fine, I'll just be just fucking Bubbles. JFB. So that's kind of what stuck with Sister JFB. I first heard about the sisters actually through the local mission that I ended up joining that now is a full professed house, the Rock and Roll City Sisters, through um, at that time Novice sister, but now fully professed sister Nadia Head and Smile. She was the one who got me to come out to the events as a guard when I was Mr. Cleveland Leather 2013 to start helping the sisters and to make sure that they kind of had protection when they came around to some of the areas on the street because you never want to go alone. And it was through my first event that I heard of the sisters and I ended up becoming one. When I heard the calling, it wasn't when I was going around being a guard. Because of my title, to be able to do the work of the sisters, I was going around as a guard while holding my leather title because I could still do two things at once. Close to the end of my title year, actually my title year is 14 months, so actually I was over my title year, but still waiting to the end of the term. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out as a postulant sister because at that point I was a postulant guard. And I needed to figure out and I needed to see for myself the experience that, my sisters went through as being a postulant sister, being able to only observe but not speak, and to really see what it was like to put on the white face. So that was my first calling because after that night of just coming out as a postulant sister, I ended up having a dream and I was in whiteface, and I just remember all the joy that I ended up having, and just the fun of being able to go out and do something that was completely different and pretty much unseen here in the Cleveland area, and that was my real first calling moment. Was that first day I went out in whiteface. I think my favorite experience of being a sister is probably working with all the other sisters. Um, Everyone is very unique and has a different personality. And then when you go out into the community with all those personalities, it's like a crazy party filled with chaos, but it's never negative. It's always joyful and happy, and everyone has their own little quirk and their own little bit of themselves that they add to every event and to every outing. And you really see it, especially with I would say my sister mother, Sister Olive Overhang. Uh, she's quite a character, and you see her personality every time that she's out in face, and it's those little personality quirks that um, really make it meaningful to be able to be with the sisters. What the white face means to me, I think I'm still searching for that because it's different for everybody. Everyone has deep, meaningful connections with it, but then you have people who never used whiteface, and like Sister Missionary Position, and that's called mishface when you're out and you're not even using whiteface. I think the whiteface for some people it really enhances. Um, Certain aspects that you want to maybe feature because it is a blank canvas and you really are accentuating yourself and the parts of your personality that sometimes you might not be able to show. But I know some people also use it to hide their anonymity because there are certain things that they can't do otherwise. So the white face to me, it's very broad, but I think it's very spiritual too. Because after my first experience, I had a dream with me in whiteface, and from that moment, I just felt a sense of joy that I haven't felt before. So I think it's a personal journey, and it's one that everyone needs to take for themselves to see if it's what they want. My experience doing Mishface, I remember we were all going down to one of the leather contests in Akron as a group of sisters for support, and it was snowing like the dickens that night, and we all wanted to try and go, but we weren't going to try and fight to do makeup and drive in the snowstorm. So we as a group decided to all go out in Mishface, and I think we made it part of our rule that at least once you need to go out in Mishface before you become fully professed to really see the different aspect of being in face and out of face, and just the social interactions that you have. Um, it was easier, I'll tell you. It's enjoyable to be able to go out and not have to spend a long time on putting your face together and figuring out how you feel and the personality that you are in that night. That sort of mental state. But at the same time, it's also lacking. It might be quick and easy, but you miss out on a lot of things that you couldn't do without being in whiteface. I would say the favorite part about the sisters that I like is the universal joy and the end of stigmatic guilt. To me, being raised a Catholic and having the church kind of tell you everything about you is wrong, it hurts a person because you look at religion to kind of be a place for comfort. And when, a church is telling you you're not welcome because of the way you are, it's very disheartening. The sisters are welcoming no matter what your religion is, and through the sisters and through I think just finding acceptance, you find yourself, whether or not it's just in religion or a different form of religion, or just even having faith in your fellow sisters or fellow men. It changes you, and I think it changes you for the good. I would say my biggest influence on my journey of a sister would be Sister Nod Your Head and Smile from the Rock and Roll City Sisters. Uh, she was the first one to get me involved with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, um, and I've been with them for over a year, and I can tell you that that's probably the sister I'm really the closest to, but also that we've done work outside of the sistery, um, but that's the one that brought me in, and that's the one that really gave me the push to continue my volunteer work in this form that is much more expressive and joyful. And you really get to see a physical difference, I think, with the people you come in contact with. Because if you're out in the street, people walk up to you and they want to know more about you, and they want to take your picture, and they want to learn more, versus you just being a regular volunteer working in your community. People just kind of watch you and walk by and stand there, but when you put on the white face, it'll draw people's attentions and bring them to you. So that would be my most influential sister. I think the most influential part of the sistery was when I read about Sister Lost and Found. I remember reading that a group of sisters were basically being, I would say, they were having a religious group protest against the sisters. So one day they turned the tables and went to the church that was protesting against them. And I guess they disrupted the service because everyone came out. But the interesting part was is that one of the choir boys actually went and stood with the sisters and what they were fighting for. And that young man ended up being ostracized by his family and his church, and eventually I think put into a foster home. And then he left that home and found the sisters, but the state wouldn't let him stay there. And what ended up happening is he ended up taking his life, and the sisters named him Sister Lost and Found. For me, that's probably the most influential thing that I've ever read on this history, because it's so sad to see that even though we've come so far, and this may have been like 20 years ago, it still happened. And I don't think that a life like that should ever be lost, or anyone should ever have to feel like that, where they feel like they can't go somewhere and that they don't have hope. And I think that's what the sisters do, and I think that's what the sistery does. It shows hope throughout the years, that even through bad times we've pursued, and I think we're going to continue to do that.